You're not behind. You are distracted by everyone else's timeline. I am Bianca Burke, identity strategist and founder of the Maven Matriarch. I want to welcome you to the Maven Matriarch podcast. This is the space where we guide women to lead in business, in their home, and most importantly, within themselves. So today I want to talk about this pandemic level common occurrence. Okay. We're talking about comparison today, comparing yourself to other people and why ambitious women do this and why they allow it to stall their progress. I want to touch on today why this hits so hard and much harder in your 30s and 40s. We're going to talk about the difference between inspiration and identity theft. And then we're going to talk about a strategy that you can use to sort of shift your perspective. So I want to state something here. Comparing yourself to other people or to others is truly not the problem. It's the misuse of it. There's a distinction between inspiration, comparison, and identity theft. When you are inspired, when you get inspiration from others, you are essentially getting data, okay? Data that you can use to spark your own motivation. You can also, create your own output and use it in your creative endeavors, right? Comparison is where that gets distorted because now you're telling yourself that there is something that another person or that person has that you do not. And that is absolutely false. Where identity theft comes into this is when you completely abandon your own path and you abandon that path to entirely copy someone else's. The moment that you stop building your life and you start studying someone else's, you have exited your own timeline. Now, I want to go into why ambitious women struggle with this because it's very interesting. Okay? It's not because, ambitious women, they are capable, they are well equipped, right? But it's these three drivers that I'm going to list here that comparison comes from. Okay. And the first is perceived voids. And I'm going to break everything down for you. I mentioned this a little bit before. That is telling yourself that I am not enough. I do not have what it takes. I don't have enough to output, to do, or to receive the outcome that I want, right? There's something that person has that I don't. You are creating or you are buying into the idea of limited beliefs, right? When in fact, or limiting beliefs rather, when in fact you are limitless. The second driver is perceived virtues. Somehow this is where you say, she is a better person than me, and therefore she is more deserving, right? You're telling yourself that there is some hierarchy or that another person should expect to succeed and to get the outcome they want rather versus you. And the third is pursued visions. This is where you want what she has, and not in a jealous type of way, but in an outcome way, right? You want, it's not exactly that you want the same thing or you want to be doing the exact same thing, but you want the feeling that's attached with those outcomes. It's that you want what the outcome and all of that brings, but you don't trust that your own path will give you or get you to those outcomes. So you end up not taking any action towards that, right? So you believe that you lack ambition and then you believe you lack motivation, but that is not what it is. You are not focused where you need to be. Your focus is fragmented. Okay? Instead of focusing so much on others and what they're doing, right? Focus on yourself. Focus on your own path, your own strengths. Focus on, bettering yourself, bettering your skills, right? Put your blinders on, as they say, right? And stay in your lane. Now we're going to address this from the perspective of women in their 30s and 40s, because it tends to hit harder at this stage of our lives. Because by this time, you are already feeling like you're left behind. And at this stage in a woman's life, a woman is more aware of time, right? Very often we're saying, I should be further along. I should be further ahead than where I am right now. By now, I should have had A, B, C, and C. And now you start to look at the other women around you who may seem like they're further along than you are. You may even compare yourself to women younger than you who may seem further along than you are. And it really, honestly, it doesn't matter. We do this, but it doesn't matter. Not only is it that you are more time aware and that time awareness increases for you at this age, but these are the ages that you are significantly going through major identity shifts. And it's often because of motherhood. Many of us are getting married around this age. You're pivoting, whether it's in your career, relationship, and even on a deeper spiritual level, your growth is immense. This stage of life has major shifts in your overall awareness. That shifts emotionally, mentally, even physically, right? So many changes. We are so much more exposed now to people winning online with social media in this time. Women in their 30s or 40s are now seeing their peers, right? And their family members, their acquaintances, their colleagues, and really strangers. They're winning, and they see those highlight reels, not even knowing how they got there. But it's in your face. And not to mention, society deems that in your 20s, you're still exploring. It's okay to explore. It's okay to pivot. You're allowed to make mistakes. Take as many turns or as often as you need to. However, by the time you hit your 30s, right, you're expected to have everything together. Your career, your partner, children, house, successful business, thriving empire by the time you're 30s or 40s. Oh, you have to have it all together by now. And that is what society expects of us, right? So you tend to expect it of yourself too, with no grace. And you either execute and accomplish or regret. And that pressure that you put on yourself is a lot. So comparison in your 30s and 40s can show up if you're not careful, and it can stall you and your progress towards moving towards your goals. Because if we keep telling ourselves that false narrative that by a certain age, we need to be here, here, and here, right? We'll continue to compare ourselves to other people and continue to be on other people's timelines, which will ultimately destroy our confidence. And the truth is that time is an illusion. We create time. Okay. Hate to tell you. And the amount of time that it takes an individual to reach their desired outcome is all relative. And it's also based on who you are. It is. And that's why I do what I do. And I want to talk a little bit about the cost. What is the cost of all of that? What is the cost of comparison? It's not only the lack of confidence that's at risk, but there's a risk for who you're stepping into and what you're building, because it has major cost effects, right? It can cause delayed action. It can cause inconsistent execution, lack of clarity. It truly can cause emotional burnout, which I see every day. And not to mention, it can cause slow change, slow success, slow results. And I'm not going to get into all of that because it goes so much deeper when it comes to, you know, guilt and whether you're reaching your results rapidly versus slowly. We're not going to get into that today. But it doesn't just slow you down and slow your progress down, but comparison keeps you in that restarting over and over, back and forth, planning, researching, continuous mode. That's why it's so important for us to detox this comparison virus. Okay. And how you do that is by first becoming self-aware and catching yourself in real time when it's happening. You ask yourself in the moment, when you have these thoughts of feeling less than, self-doubt, comparing yourself to others, feeling left behind, you ask yourself, who am I comparing myself to right now? Who am I comparing myself to? And ask yourself, what story am I making this mean for me? Because then you want to interrupt the thought, right? So I want you to use the tool that I'm going to give you now. It's called zoom out and zoom in, right? To help you shift your perspective in that. So first you zoom out and ask, what don't I see about her journey? Be the observer. What don't I see about her journey? With anyone you're comparing yourself to, because we don't see the struggles and the hard work and the time and all of the moving parts that goes into a person's successful outcome. We also don't see the outside assistance, right? That went into building. Ask yourself in the moment, what timeline am I ignoring? Because we don't see the time that it took that person to get to the point that they are right now. We don't see that. We don't see what seeds were planted many, 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 many years ago for them to get there. And I'm not saying it has to take that much time, but there are a lot of factors that we don't see. And then you want to zoom in and ask, what do I actually want? Because that matters. Someone else's success is not your own. It may not be what you want or what makes you happy. And also ask yourself, what is mine to take today? What I mean by that is, figure out what you want. What will make you happy? What is your purpose? What is the first step that you can actually take that is feasible for you right now for you to move towards that? And then step 3 of this is to then just decide. One decision cuts off all other alternatives. This is where you really anchor into who you are, into your identity, and tell yourself, I am not her. Okay? I am not that person. I am building. I am me. I am building. Okay? I am building the life that I want for me on my timeline. And then walk back into your lane. And after that, it just takes discipline, consistency. It truly takes action, right? And returning to focusing on you and what you are building. Because focus is truly the key to combating comparison. If you focus on you, you have no time or energy to put your focus anywhere else. Get back to your tasks. Immediate action is truly what kills comparison faster than even mindset work. Focus your energy on tasks that will move the needle for you and what you're building, for you and your goals and your dreams. And lastly, just most importantly, recognize and celebrate. And this is where most women fail. And I have to always remind them that they are failing to track their own progress. They're failing to create their own evidence of success. They fail to celebrate their small wins. You would not compare yourself to other people if you had proof of your own momentum. And a lot of ambitious women fail to do this. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small they are, because every step forward in the right direction, in alignment that you take towards your dream is a win. Plain and simple. It's the simplest thing, but we don't do it. Comparison will thrive in chaos and confusion. Okay? Where it dies is in focus, clarity, and action. When you do not know who you are or what you want, you leave room for comparison to truly thrive in that. And once you clarify, you decide, and you focus and take action, then that's it. And I know it sounds easy, and it may sound easy to someone and like, okay, like, all right, but it's truly what it is. Now, this is why in my work, I don't begin with strategy, or I don't begin with business strategy. I focus and I start and focus on identity first, on being first, actually on awareness first. Because if you don't know who you are or who you want to be, you will continue to borrow from other people. Many of us, like I said, we don't do it intentionally, right? And it took me years to truly understand and realize for myself and go through my own transformation in this to understand this. And now I help other women do this. As a woman, as a mom, because I help specifically moms go through this at the biggest transition in their lives, becoming a mother. As a mom, you have changed, right? But when that happens, your life may not have caught up yet, okay? And instead of building as a mom what is next for you, you end up watching other women live it. And I want you to remember that you are exactly where you need to be right now, okay? Enjoy it. Enjoy the here and the now. Be present. Have fun. Because even with all of this, that's important too. That's what we're here to do, is to enjoy. And don't allow the external and what's happening with other people and what they're doing to distract you. This is your year to initiate, not to observe anymore, but to build, not to compare, to build. So if you're ready to stop comparing yourself to other people and start executing, I'm starting my next 12-week cohort for the Maven Reset Experience. And that program is built for this exact transformation. We don't just talk business strategy. What we do is we build the identity of the woman who can sustain it. Because otherwise it doesn't matter. You can have all the business techniques and strategies that if you're not the person to execute and to hold that, it doesn't matter. So if you're interested or you want more information, schedule a call with me. All of the information is in the description below. I want to leave you with this. Stay in your lane, build your vision, and trust that what is meant for you does not require you to compete for it. Until next time.